What are you listening to? Episode 51. Is anyone out there? Good to see everyone. It's going to be a great show, as usual. Rachel's back.
Hello.
Aaron's on.
Hello.
By an uncanny coincidence, as we were talking about the Icon Gallery just a couple of weeks ago. And Erika's here. Nice to see you, Erika. Thanks for coming on.
Hello.
Hello. Let's do the housekeeping. Get that out of the way. And then we can get going. Yeah. So, like and subscribe, as always. Don't have to. It's not compulsory. There you go. And then let's see if anyone's watching, shall we? No. There'll be people watching. Don't worry. All right. As usual, we've each got 5 records we're going to have a good time talking about. As always, it was tough just to pick out 5. I'm sure everyone's got some standbys just in case, right?
Indeed.
I haven't. But, yeah, I had to narrow it down to just 5. So let's get going. You ready?
Yes.
Yes, me too. Let's get going. Cheers. If you're drinking whiskey out of a decanter, cheers. Yeah, I mean, I'm just on the cheap Sapporo beer, as usual. Show sponsored by Sapporo beer, so there you go. All right, I got something new. In fact, it's so new. For my first pick, I've got something new. In fact, it's so new. It's not even out yet. Apparently, it comes out on December 14th. Out of Pittsburgh band.
I think I know this.
Yeah. I think I might have mentioned it. So, Mato from Peterwalkee Records was over in Japan about a month ago now, and he gave me a few records, and he gave me this one, and I was excited to get it, and I've been playing it a lot. This band, Peace Talks.
Nice.
From Pittsburgh. I guess it's their first LP. They have like a tape out, I think. A 7-inch, a 7-inch, and a kind of tour tape thing they did, which I've got a bunch of songs in it that they did for a tour that they did. This is like new territory for me. Like I don't know anything about the band. I don't know anything about the other band's members have been in. So let's go through it, see if anybody can like help me out here. So Christina is the vocalist, and she's been in Liebestod and Red Fox. Discogs tells me, and I've never heard either of those bands either. And then Chris and John were in Drug Lust and Radium Girls. Is that right?
Yeah.
And that's all I know about this band. Basically. Yeah, it's a hardcore punk record, but yeah. I can tell you what it doesn't sound like. Let's go with that first. So it's like it's not deep beat, it's not crust, it's not like some of this like throwbacks to like old LA hardcore. It's like none of those things. It's none of that. It's very punk, especially like on side 2. There's a lot like more mid-paced songs. It's really well produced, and I'm gonna touch on that a bit with another record I've got. It's one of those records that's like really big sounding, but it still sounds kind of very raw at the same time. Christina's vocals are really good. She's a great vocalist. Yeah, that's about it. It's going to come out on December the 14th, but you can pre-order it from Peterwalkee. It's up on Bandcamp. Yeah, great stuff. Totally new to me. Is anyone familiar with Peace Talks?
I'm familiar.
Yeah. You seen them live or anything?
Yeah, I've seen them live a whole bunch of times. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I actually haven't. They've played here a couple of times, and but Bill has gone to see them, but I've not been able to see them. But yeah, we have 7-inch. That's really good. It is like, it's the most psyched I've been on a like Christina band.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Like, not that her other bands were bad, but this band is really good.
Yeah, I was kind of, because I haven't heard the 7-inch, I was wondering like if they'd changed their sound on this, and because it is like really big production, which I like personally,
Yeah. Well, I'm not a special person who got the record way ahead of everybody else.
Well, I'm not showing off. I just happened to, meet the guy that was in Japan. But Yeah, I actually asked him, "Do you mind if I show it before it comes out?" And he's like, "Yeah, go ahead." So if you want to order it, I think you can order it, now from Peterwalkee Records.
Yeah.
I love that label, and I'm going to go on not a rant, but I just want to say it's a great label that's like underappreciated. So he's done, these aren't the real records, obviously they're little stickers, but it's like Dark Thoughts. He's put out Dark Thoughts, another great band, and this Finnish band that's like people should check out. Socky Picture. So give a little bit of love to Peterwalkee Records and Peace Talks, because they deserve it.
Why do you have little fake mini record covers?
Oh, I didn't print them out or anything for this show. They're stickers.
Oh.
I didn't,
I can't show the record, but I made this postcard.
Yeah, stickers. Yeah. So yeah, great record. Check it out. I've got to do this because I found out about this when I wasn't really researching. But there's a record release show in Pittsburgh. So anyone who's in Pittsburgh should go and check this out. Here it is. December 14th with Heavy Discipline, who is another band I really like. So there you go.
Cool.
This is another thing I was going to say actually about this record. It's a benefit release for a harm reduction non-profit called Prevention Point Pittsburgh, and the gig is kind of a benefit for that too, I guess. So there you go. Yeah, that's some little thing I found out. All right, that's my first choice. Peace Talks.
Good people, for sure.
Nice to hear that. Yeah. All right, that's my first pick.
So did Rachel. I do mine now?
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
I'm going to start with Un Classique. It's kind of band-wise, but it's a record of theirs that I think is a bit overlooked. And I'm going to take off the... Oh, wait. No, I can't. Okay. I'm going to take off the plastic sleeve to it's reflective, but the plastic sleeve is part of...
It is. Yeah.
So this is Poison Girls.
Nice.
This is their live album, Total Exposure. And I'm not, like, live punk albums are not really my thing most of the time. I mean, there's certain things, like, there are certain places, like in Holland, like, for some reason, like, a million bands had, like, live recordings of them that were, like, pretty decent sounding. But a lot of punk, like, live records sound like shit, like, sound-wise, and often, like, performance-wise, they don't sound very good. But this sounds good and is, like, very, like, all their performances are, like, very, very different from the record versions. Like, they'd clearly, like, kind of, like, had, like, developed this, like, routine, like, their show where they would, like, do certain things and, like, bleed things together and, like, had, like, chants that were, like, uniting things throughout. And it's just, like, it's really awesome versions of songs that are on records, and then also a few songs that aren't on any other records. And like, Poison Girls in general, like, I think most punk rockers know them, but they're, like, just an amazing band, like, really inspiring to me, like, as like, Vice Versa was an older woman who was, like, in her 40s when she started being in a punk band. She had kids, her kids played in the band with her, and the band was, like, not they're, like, in the punk scene, they're in the anarcho punk scene. They definitely had songs that were, like, punk, but they also got kind of, like, prog rocky. They did some, like, a cappella choral stuff. Like, they just had a sensibility and a sound that's not, like, that's actually people, more than once people have said my band sounds like the Poison Girls. We do not. No. And, like, I'm very flattered, but, like, no, we really, really don't, like, in any way.
Nobody really sounds like the Poison Girls, right?
No, like, really. They were, like, that's a friend of mine was like, they were like the Pink Floyd of punk. I can kind of see that. Anyway, that's my pick. Like, I think it's not a very expensive record. It's not a record that's, like, super sought after. This is Ira. And but it's like I think it's one of their best records, really. Like overall, like start to finish, it's
I'd
really
agree.
excellent.
Yeah, I saw him a couple of times around that era. I was lucky enough to be
Really?
old enough and to be from England, so I did get to see him. They were. I love him now, and I did get to like him back. But as like a young person, they were like so different to all the other bands that were around. It was a little tricky when you were like a 15, 16-year-old to hear this like funky stuff and like all that, and like it was. But they were a great live band, and I mean, years later, I like them more now than I definitely did back then. I think they're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've liked it more and more as I got older because
Right.
they had like a mature perspective on things, like vice versa's like feminism is really, I came up listening to like Bikini Kill and stuff like that, which was really cool. And or like like these bands that had this like teen young 20s kind of viewpoint, and I identified with that a lot more at the time. And I listened to Poison Girls and I was like, this is kind of weird. Like both like subject wise and but yeah, the older I get, the more I'm like, fuck yeah, oh my god. Like, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
So
great record, great band. We could go on for a long time about that whole era of like music because there's so much to talk about, but a lot of it or most of it has kind of held up really well and like to me sounded even better now than it did back in the day. So yeah. All right, Aaron, what's your first record of the day?
So my first pick, so I'm obsessed with Sprints, and I also just bought tickets to their show. They're playing in DC in March. So they're from Dublin. They have several EPs out. Their first LP is coming out in January. Super high energy, like it's post-punk. It sounds sort of like almost 90s alternative, but like also punk. It's like definitely more on the punk side of post-punk. And definitely like super heartfelt lyrics, like things about feminism and problems with society and things like that. So like definitely still like upholding the sort of DIY punk ethic, but like they're a little bit more mainstream, I guess you would say too. But like I just can't get enough of them. Like there's Literary Mind, which is like a single of theirs, and How Does the Story Go? And then their most recent single, which is on that LP, is called Adore, Adore, Adore. And yeah, it's just like pummelingly high energy and just really, really good punk rock, but on the post-punk side of things.
yeah, I really like the video for Literary Mind. It's like adorable. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah.
It's like a whole little story. And I really like when people do that. When
Yeah,
people
me too.
put like a full-on plot in their music video.
Yeah. So
That's a new one to me. Sprints. What labels are on, Aaron?
I think they're on several. This one's Nice Swan, and this is City Slang.
Okay.
But I think they have like maybe 3 EPs, and then I think there's like a collective of like the EPs, and then the LP comes out in January.
Cool. That's great. That's totally something new for me.
Yeah,
First time on the show.
awesome.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Cool. All right, Erika, what's your first record?
All right, so I've been having to kind of think backwards because it's top 10 time for 2013. And
Yeah.
I kind of hate this list. I always struggle with trying to remember like what I actually enjoyed, and so I've been going back and kind of revisiting things that were from this year. And this one stuck out to me as something that I haven't really seen a lot of people talking about, but I really love it. So it's this band Rocky.
Oh yeah.
They're a duo from Australia, and it's Raven, who was in the band Grass Widow, who I loved, like one of my favorite bands of the 2010s. And then Xanthi, who's in Primo and Terry, who are, more like poppy Australian post-punk. But this Rocky record is so great. It reminds me of Young Marble Giants, just like very stark, minimalist, drum machine, like really intricate harmonies. It's just really beautiful and not punk, but might be my favorite record this year. I have, I'm still mulling over, but it's definitely on my top 10. But yeah, kind of flying under the radar, I think, because it came out on Australian label, and I don't really think it got a lot of distribution, at least in the US. So I definitely had to order my copy from Australia and pay an arm and a leg for that. But yeah, really great record.
I've got an Australian band today too.
That label is really great too, because like they put out like all those bands that you said. Like I buy pretty much everything that's on that label. So.
Yeah, between the two of them in that band, I would like buy anything that they're involved with. Like all of their projects, I've just really loved a lot. It hits a real sweet spot for me. So
nice.
Rocky.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, I never heard of that band, but when you said the members of, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Heavy hitters.
Yeah, I hate when you got to pay I just ordered the Romance 7-inch from Australia because I was pretty sure no one was ever going to carry it in the United States, and it hurts me. Yeah.
All right. Talking about, you reminded me now about the end of year thing and all that kind of stuff. And I've got just a ridiculous list, and the list is getting bigger. It's going to get even longer now, I assume, after this show. But this is a real late contender for one of my best of the year. And this band and this record just absolutely floored me. And I'm super excited about this band. Wow. I mean, they're on Drunken Sailor Records, I guess. Well, this record is. They're from Tucson, Arizona. And there's the whole blurb about them because they've been kind of put into the power pop box, which is fine. And they are kind of power pop, but they're way more like hard edged and more leaning towards like 76, 77, like punk to my ears. Let's have a look at the record and let's see if it looks familiar to anybody here or anybody watching. And if it's not, it should be at some point. This is an amazing band, an amazing record. They're called Class.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great record.
I mean, honestly, I found out about this because I was looking for something else on like Drunken Sailor. And so like a list of like Drunken Sailor stuff came up, and I just kind of went through them and had a little listen. And I couldn't believe like how good this is. And it's not even like a proper LP. It's like a compilation of like 2 tapes that they put out, right? Which blew my mind even more that these were just like tapes that they put out, and now they put them out on vinyl. But, oh my God, it's like I hear all sorts of things in here. I know the Real Kids, the Only Ones, the Boys, Eddie and the Hot Rods is all in there. But like every song is like a classic, it's like a hit from like 1976 or 1977. It is unbelievably great. I was just blown away by how good it is. It's like if you played it to someone and told them that it was like an unearthed like 76, 77 band, like you'd kind of, you'd believe it because it's like so authentic, but then you wouldn't believe it because like, well, if this is so good that it can't possibly be like unknown or like unearthed, it's so good. It's like it's such a high level of like whatever genre that it's funny because there's a whole blurb about like about power pop when they kind of describe this record, but it's way more like 76, like 77, like punk to me. I think so, but
yeah, like New York Dolls, like but yeah, like Real Kids, like you said. I do think the songwriting is fantastic on that record.
Yeah, it's one of those things. But am I like more excited about it than I should be? I don't know, but and they've got a new LP coming out, a proper one, but I haven't got it yet, and I think that's probably going to arrive here in January. But that's on Feel It Records.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. Like everything. Feel It puts out like an awesome record like every 4 days or something like that.
Because that Sweeping Promises record is on Feel It and Sub Pop, right? So, but yeah,
if you like Sub Pop outside the US.
Okay, so where's Feel It from? Are they Australian?
Max Rock and Roll top 10s.
Feel It's from Ohio. They're in Cincinnati now.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, again, as I was looking, I was like, oh god, that song Feel It, and that song Feel It, and that song Drunken Sailor, and that song Drunken Sailor. So both of those labels have been putting out like so much good stuff. It's crazy, but yeah.
Yeah, when I do my radio show, like sometimes I look at my playlist and I'm like, oh, feel it, feel it, feel it. Maybe
yeah, super excited about this band. I'm really looking forward to the new record too. So. Cool. Class, kind of tricky name to Google. I had to be a bit clever about it when I was looking them up. So, yeah.
You got to do song titles.
That's what I did, yeah. And record label plus something, and then it came up. So, yeah. Yeah. All right, that's my second pick. Rachel, what's your second record?
All right. Well, since we're talking about top tens, and we're talking about surprisingly good sounding cassettes.
Ooh.
I'm going to talk about this cassette. Toxic Rights.
Toxic Rights.
It's a band from France. They're from Bretagne, I think. And this is on Symphony of Destruction Records, which is another like really good, really reliable label. Yeah, and this like again, this is their demo. It sounds like, I mean, it sounds amazing. It sounds so good. And it is like, it's almost like pop punk, like almost like Bad Religion. Like that's actually, I was talking to Bill. It's like, it's kind of like mid-period Bad Religion, like Against the Grain. And I'm like, maybe that's not mid-period considering Bad Religion is still around. 20, 30
early
years
mid-period.
Early Bad Religion.
But it has that kind of like epic sweeping, whatever that like epic pop punk sound is, but also really mixed with like it reminds me a lot of like Northern Ireland anarcho punk. A lot of anarcho punk in general. Like it has it's not quite as like slick and pop punk sounding as Bad Religion. Like it has this like grittier edge to it. And but yeah, it's like super catchy, really good songs. And then it is like hit you over the head political, which I really, really appreciate. Like I feel like right now it's kind of a thing to be like cryptically political, which I think is kind of cool. And like I wish I could do that, but I can't. And I really like I also love getting hit over the head with politics. Like I mean I love to listen to anarcho punk, which is like all about just being like, okay, war is bad, racism, like rich people, you know, let's like overthrow the government. And like I really appreciate when I find a current band that has those kind of politics. I think people like are embarrassed to be sincere, and to be like yeah, like straightforward. So, and I think it feels like hokey to people to be just like, look, this is like my like straightforward feelings about this political issue or whatever. And I don't think people should be. So I really appreciate this. And it is like very, very, very good music.
A lot of people are doing that. They're putting out like, I kind of like that though. It's like, it's kind of almost a reverse than what was happening maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, where people were just putting out anything. But now people are putting out like really like amazing music on like just on tapes, like that Class, and then like that you just showed, and before making their first record. So, yeah. I
think it's partly just a product of not being able to get vinyl pressed for so long, where it would take like months to put out a record, and it's so expensive now. And tapes are more affordable. I do think that people are overlooking your favorite format, like CDs. You can make CDs at home, you know, like if you're gonna make a cheap, like it's a better format than tapes.
I mean, it has been suggested that I should open the gate and let CDs on the show, but you know, there's plenty of people that can do that. So
Yeah, well, I don't mean for the show, but I just mean as like
Just
a
generally, yeah.
format for punk
Yes.
demos.
Yeah.
People have this beef against CDs when actually it's a much more practical format and cheaper and easier to do than tapes. Like tapes used to be the cheapest and easiest way to make music, to like
Right.
release music.
Mm-mm-mm.
But CDs are now, but they're not cool. Like
I think it's also harder to like. I mean, no, like computers don't have CD drives anymore.
They
And,
don't.
yeah, I don't know, but who has a tape player? You know.
well, but like tape players have that like retro nostalgia. I don't think CDs are quite there yet, although they're getting there. I keep seeing articles about.
I just read one about like the return of the CD.
Yeah, into the CDs now. So
Yeah, we'll get there where they have like a patina and then
Rare
people
CDs.
I mean, I don't like CDs really, but like it seems like the obvious way to put out your demo.
Yeah. All right. Symphony of Destruction is pretty it's very like you said, really reliable.
Yeah,
label.
and all different kinds of stuff too.
Yeah,
like not just one
Yeah.
particular sub. I mean, it's all kind of punk, but it's none of it is. It's like there's post-punky stuff. There's this like catchier, poppier punk stuff. There's like real heavy stuff, and I really like that label.
Nice. All right, Aaron, what's your second?
So my second is X-White. I don't know if you guys are familiar. So they have a couple tapes and they have a mini album, and I think this is the first real album. I keep going the wrong way because my screen. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's like garagey and punk, but like sort of post-punk at times. Definitely dancey. Some of it reminds me of like Leatherface. So yeah, like again, super high energy. Like most of the stuff I listen to is like high energy, like post-punk type stuff, or on the punkier side. It's released by several record labels, but one of them is Mangle, and they're also a German label, so they're from Germany. I pretty much buy anything Mangle puts out as well. Like I don't know if you guys are familiar with Pigeon, but I really liked Pigeon as well. So yeah, this record is really great. Just tons of fun, sort of dancey, high energy. So yeah.
Another one that's like totally new to me. You guys familiar?
yeah, there's like they're from Leipzig, right? There's like a whole like little mini scene of bands from that area, like Marauder, who are really great, and I don't.
Sorry to diverge. I've heard this band, but I've not heard that record.
Yeah, because their mini album's like a yellow one. I don't remember when it came out, like maybe a year or two ago. Yeah, this one's pretty new.
A ton of stuff. Like I feel like they do tons of like split 7 inches and tapes, and it's hard to keep up.
Yeah, but that Marauder record, for some reason, at my radio station has like come through our new releases like 4 times probably in the last like 3 years. And I'm like, is it getting reissued or is someone just really confused at the radio station? I'm not sure.
Is Henry Rollins watching that?
Reissue it.
Yeah, and I think it was reissued at least once, but I think we got it more than twice. I don't know. I was like, oh, this again. Happy to see it. I'll play it again.
Wow. Let's show that record one more time because I want to see it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
XYT. Talk.
And it's spelled differently sometimes too. Sometimes it's just EXWH, like X, and then the word white. So
yeah, I've never seen it spelled this way before.
Yeah.
That's like that band Invasionen, which I'm a real late comer to it. I might talk about them when Bill's on, so I won't say too much stuff. And they're now called just the INVSN.
Oh.
Yes. And they've changed they've changed their sound as well to go along with that kind of thing. But yeah.
It's like the
enough about them. Yeah, I really like that band that I'm talking about, but I'm not sure people want to hear me talk about them, so we'll see.
They did like Aaron knows Bakery Square.
Oh yeah.
The old Nabisco factory was turned into like a Google complex, a mall in Pittsburgh, and they have a big sign that says Book Square.
Yeah.
So they call the Pingree Square.
It's definitely a thing.
Yes, it is a thing.
Yes, it is a thing. All right. Okay, Erika, what's
Right.
My turn.
what you got?
All
What you
right.
got?
So this is something else from this year, but it's a reissue of sorts. It's a Brazilian band called Ida S.
Oh, yeah.
Os Voltas. I don't speak Portuguese, so I apologize. So this was a demo that they did in 1986. That was just, a tape that was circulated locally, and the vinyl version just came out on Nada Nada Discos, the Brazilian label, and then Nausea in the UK. Really great, sort of like minimal post-punk. The band that it kind of reminds me of, and this is sort of a left field thing, but that band Bonadish, I don't know if any of y'all are familiar with them, like a UK DIY kind of band. Like female vocals, drum machines, like really like chintzy synth sounds. There's like moments of it that almost remind me of like early Cure. So they're sort of like the more like dreamy, experimental end of the Brazilian post-punk scene, as opposed to a band like, I'd say, like Mercenarius, who are a little bit more like aggressive and angular. This is a little bit more like dreamy and experimental, but really amazing. There was this comp of Brazilian post-punk that was like a digital only thing circulating years ago that I found called Cult 45. And there was a song from them on it that I was just like obsessed with. And it was one of those things where I was like, I'm never going to be able to own any of their recordings because they were like super small run cassettes. And I'm not from Brazil. So I was real excited that this came out on vinyl. It's really amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brazil. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Was there like a big post-punk scene in Brazil, like back in the 80s?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit later than it happened in some other places. Like, I feel like their post-punk renaissance was more like mid-'80s as opposed to early 80s. But yeah, there was a pretty good scene there. There's like a million great Brazilian post-punk comps that you can like get lost in.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, it's when Brazil comes up, it's usually either like the punk, the hardcore punk, or Sepultura and the kind of raw metal and that kind of stuff.
It's not like that at all.
I'm glad. All right. Round 3. Man, this is another one that I've had sat here, wanted to talk about for a while. I guess like they have like 4 or 5 singles out there from Boston. They put out, this is their second LP, I think. When you think of Boston and you think of hardcore, what kind of comes to mind?
Beat down.
Right? I'm glad you said that, just because this is the absolute complete like polar opposite of that. So that kind of, that's good. That kind of sets me up to kind of talk about this record a bit. I think Rachel might be a fan. I think I might have seen Rachel talking about this band before. It's the Pandemix.
Oh yeah, I like Pandemix.
And man, it's another one. I'm like, how the hell am I going to describe this? And I'm actually not going to. Really, it's like, it will be easy to kind of compare it to the Peace Talks record, but it doesn't sound like the Peace Talks record. I want to say it's like more complex. There's like more going on. A lot of vocals, like it's like, I don't know. It's like you got the main singer. There's like a lot of background vocals. There's like tons of like time changes. It's hardcore, but there's a lot of punk in there. There's all these like other influences going on. It's like super well produced again, like that Peace Talks record. It's like, it sounds amazing. Obviously, there's a lot about this band that I don't really know. It came out on Boss Tuneage in the UK and Dirt Cult in the US. But yeah, this is like, so I mean, like I said, I liked the first LP and I haven't heard any of the singles, but this kind of blew me away when I heard this.
They're kind of from Boston. They're also kind of from Pittsburgh.
Oh, really? Okay, there you go.
Their singer lives in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And maybe other people from the band. I don't know.
There's a little bit of like anarcho punk kind of running through it a little bit, even though it's a kind of I saw them described as like anarcho punk, and that's kind of a little bit misleading, I would say.
It's heavy. I mean, it's heavy. It's like I can like there's an anarcho-punk like feel, like I sort of see there's like a spirit, but I don't think it sounds like anarcho-punk. But it's really good. They're amazing live. I've seen them a few times, and that's like, I think I just randomly saw them opening for someone one time, and was I was like blown away. Like I was like, "Whoa, this band is really good." So
it's like the kind of musicianship is a little bit, you don't really notice at first, but then you're like, wow, this is like, there's some like stop on a dime changes, and it's like a little bit complicated, but it all like meshes together like really, really well. And there's lots of kind of unexpected like twists and turns, even though it's like it's a hardcore punk record. Really cool band. Yeah. People have told me that they didn't buy it because it looks like a kind of alien sex fiend record, or an old, which I don't necessarily agree with, but I kind of see what they're talking about a little bit. But
or people just want nothing to do with anything called Pandemix at this point.
Well,
they were around, by the way. They started pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Yes.
They tweeted that out the last time I saw them. They're like, we named ourselves this before.
I thought the name was a little bit like, I thought it was like a little bit UK2 kind of sounding name, with the skeptics or like but this is definitely not your typical like hardcore that comes out of the Boston area, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Great record.
I don't think they're straight edge either. I don't wear the caps, little hats.
Love is Obliteration is the name of the record. So I guess Dirt Cult put it out in the States, so it should be easy to get, I want to say. Boss Tuneage in the UK, which Boss Tuneage usually put out a lot of pop punk. This ain't pop punk. Yeah. All right, Rachel, what's your third pick?
All right.
Yeah.
While I'm talking about people hitting you over the head with politics, can I show it?
Ooh.
It's Antidote, but not the one from New York City. Destroy Fascism. This is from 1987, and it is members of Chumbawamba and members of the X together. This band like formed. There's a cassette, which also was reissued on 7-inch, that came out like a year before this, and that was just people from Chumbawamba. But then they like toured with the X, and they put out this 7-inch, and it's just like a one-off thing. It's like the songs on it are called like "We Support All Forms of Resistance Against This Racist System."
Oh, Jeff.
And yeah, it's really good. It's closer. I'd say it's closer to like very early X than it is to Chumbawamba, or very. It's kind of like a mix between very early X and very early Chumbawamba, but done like a little bit later in both of their careers. And it's Joss from the X, GW Sock, Joss, and John, who was in the X for like a year or two, and then Terry from the X on the guitar, and like Boff Wally, Harry Hamer, and Maeve Dillon from the from Chumbawamba on guitar, drums, and bass. And it's like very like straightforward political punk in the way that the early X kind of was. It's probably the like most straightforward punk thing that like Chumbawamba has done. And yeah, it's just really cool. And that's what I mentioned when we were talking before the show.
What's she been up to?
There's no information except that it's members of the X and members of the Chumbawamba on the internet. So I was just like sending messages to like Joss from the X, being like, "Can you tell me who is in the band and like different members of Chumbawamba, like whoever you can send a private message to on Facebook?" So I finally sorted it out. They didn't completely remember either, but I like by process of elimination figured out who was doing what. And yeah, I only just learned that there was this cassette before, so I kind of want to hear what that's all about. It's like they put it on the 7-inch. It has like 10 or 12 songs on it, so I'm not sure what it's like. But yeah, this is great. Like it is like very like it is excellent, and this isn't like a hard record to come by. You can buy it like pretty cheap, and it's like it's like really catchy, really like sort of like anthemic, crass X whatever, like military drum beat and like shouted slogans, incendiary slogans, whatever. So yeah, it's really cool.
Isn't there like another record that's kind of similar to that, done by people from Chumbawamba, maybe?
They did a lot of like
one-off things, right?
Things they did. What's it called? Hassle Bastards? Is that what you're
That's the
talking
one
about?
I was thinking of. Yes, that's
Hassle Bastards was like a joke thing. It's on the demo tapes label put it out, but Hassle Bastards was like basically there was a zine called Sick of War, and like it was like some momentous occasion in the guy's like life, or it was like fifth issue of his zine or something, and and they said a tape that was like about 3 minutes long with like 8 songs on it that were just like Sick of War, Sick of War, Sick of War, Sick of War, like really fast, shouty hardcore. But this is much more of a fully realized band. Yeah, they did a lot. Do you know about Skin Disease?
I'm trying to think of a couple, but they're just not coming into my brain.
Skin Disease is probably my favorite thing that they did. They, there was like a call for, I think it was Secret Records. It was one of the like, non-sketchy oi labels. Which one's Gary Bushell?
Oh, he's not. He was in the Gonads.
Maybe it's not him then, but it was anyways a label. It was one of those labels, and they would put out a call for a like compilation, the Skinhead compilation that they were doing, and Chumbawamba created a band called Skin Disease, and they made a song called I'm Thick, and the song is just like one riff, and them just going like I'm thick, I'm thick, I'm thick, I'm thick for like 2.5 minutes or whatever, and they sent it in and they put it got on.
That's one of those. That's on.
Yeah. Pretty good song.
Pranksters. Yeah. All right. All right, Aaron, what's your next pick?
So I apologize. Like I listen to a lot of dancey stuff. So this is Dead Letter. Again, I keep going the wrong way here. Yep, I'll stay right there. So they have, I think this is their 3rd EP, and I think the first one was on Nice One. This is on So. I'm actually not very familiar with So as a record label, but it's part of this like whole more modern movement in post-punk with these like sort of talking bands. So like I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Dry Cleaning or Yard Act, but it's along that same vein where like it's very like kind of talked lyrics, but very dancey, kind of like sort of reminds me of like The Fall a little bit with like sort of like the fiery lyrics and stuff like that. And the lead track on this EP called Binge is just like super anthemic. Like I play it at dance nights. It's just really great. Like the chorus is basically like life's a binge. And so it's just like all about living it up. But yeah, like I'm totally into Dead Letter and that whole scene of bands like Dry Cleaning and Yard Act. Yeah, just really good dancey sort of post-punk stuff.
Is Dead Letter also from the UK, did you say?
Yeah, they are. They're, I think, originally from like Yorkshire, and I think they moved to London. I think they're in London now. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Got a lot of work to do. Got a lot of studying.
Yeah, I'm sorry that all my stuff's like new.
No, it's great. It's great to have like things that they like, I've never would have seen before or heard about. It's great. It's great. Yeah. Yeah. We don't need to see Poison Idea, Fill the Darkness anymore. Right.
Sometime I'm gonna bring a real Tiny Tim record. Just like vengeance, justice for Tiny Tim.
All right, Erika, what's your next pick?
All right, so Rachel gave me a good segue here when talking about the X. This is a Polish band, but they kind of have that sort of like X dog-faced Hermans kind of vibe in a way. They're called Atoll.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I won't try and pronounce the name of this because I will just embarrass myself. I went to public school in Texas, so I don't know anything about it. It came out on CD last year, going back to the conversation about CDs being cool. But this German label Redwig just reissued it on vinyl this year, and they've done a lot of stuff like affiliated with the X. I think they distribute a lot of the X recordings, and so there's a connection there. This record is like it's wild, like very like almost no wave, but really funky. There's like synths and there's like guy and girl vocals trading off like really angry. Like very, very danceable, but like very sharp at the same time. And there's also like some instrumental tracks that are a little bit more experimental. So it definitely hits that sort of like mid-period X vibe where they were getting away from just really straightforward punk and branching out into weirder directions. Yeah, it's super cool.
You guys,
I endorse this record.
I was just thinking about my next pick because it might tie in with that pick too. We'll see. What label's it on again?
Redwig.
Redwig.
Yeah, they've put out a lot of like more like no wavy post punk kind of stuff. And like I was saying, they like distribute a bunch of like really like political post punk X related bands, things like that. But yeah, I was glad that it got a wider release. I actually found out about them because they sent a copy of their CD to MRR and I had to edit the review of it. So I was like, oh, this sounds cool. I mean, I'm never probably going to be able to get my hands on this Polish CD. And I was really happy to see that it got a vinyl reissue this year.
The thing that I've talked about this a couple of times, like throughout the thing, is like there's a one guy from the X is doing a lot of work with bands in like Ghana and Kenya and Ethiopia and stuff, and doing a lot of production. And I've shown a couple of those records. And then there's also that record where the X do that record, or there's two records, I think, with Get At You, the Ethiopian.
Yeah.
Like those records are insane.
I saw them on tour with him actually in Boston when I was living in New England, and it's like the best show I've ever been to in my life.
It's when I just said the name of that record, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. So I love that stuff so much. It's like Get At You, Mecca Tune, like this old Ethiopian like saxophonist, right? And then the X with the X, and I'm so jealous. I'd have loved to have seen that.
Yeah, I mean, like X is like in my probably top 5 bands of all time. I love them. So anything that sounds remotely like the X, I'm on board with.
But to have that with like this, like if anyone like hasn't heard this guy, it's like this Ethiopian like sax player. He has the most amazing like tone, and when you hear that with like the X's music, it's just something else. It's crazy. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andy from the X has a really good radio show too. It's like a podcast, whatever, on Mixcloud. That's I mean, Andy was also in the Dogface Hermans, and he did this amazing episode that was like the roots of the Dogface Hermans, like all the kind of bands that they were inspired by and that they were surrounded by. That's really cool. But usually he'll be doing things about like, like Dominican reggaeton and all these different like music, like things that are like cassette culture where they have to use cassettes or whatever, or CDs from like from Africa and from Asia and like South America. Just the people in the X are like voracious musical like explorers and like draw all kinds of interesting things into their music, and also like platforming other music.
Yeah, there's a guy from Ghana called King Aisoba, and I think one of the guys from the X has been producing that guy's records too. And that's like almost like it's music from Ghana, but it has this like real like punk kind of spirit to it. Yeah, that's all on my list.
Aren't there new like recent Polish bands like that, Erika? Like
there's like a whole like Polish no wave scene that's pretty fertile.
Yeah.
Like
I've heard
like Kurz or whatever. I don't know how you pronounce it, but like KURWS. Actually, this band is like members of that band.
Wow,
who are pretty cool.
All right, it's my turn to show some anarcho punk. I think everyone who likes like current anarcho punk probably likes or loves this band. They're from Italy.
Oh.
And they have a new record out. On Drunken Sailor. What do you know? It's a culture of killing.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, I had their second record. I like that too. Like, I don't know. Like, I heard someone say this could have been on 4AD or Crass Records. It's way dubbier than I anticipated it. Like some of the anarcho punks used to like throw in some like dubby stuff into their music. This has like a lot more of that than I expected, but it works like really well. And it's very dancey, right? This record. Yeah. I mean, I hear like, it's like there's some Kama Sutra, Lost Cherise, but there's also like, there's a glockenspiel. There's a song with a glockenspiel on it, and there's a lot of dub, as I said, and a lot of vocals too, like trading back and forward, and very rhythmic record. Good stuff. And I think they have like no singles, as far as I can tell, just like 3 full-length LPs, which is pretty crazy.
For a second, I thought you were going to go show Spirito de Lupo again.
Oh, not again.
I was like, did they put out a new record? Or?
That got shown like 2 or 3 times. I think that's way heavier than this stuff. This is right. This is more not ethereal, but it's not aggressive hardcore like the other record is. But there's like a bit of a lot of sounds in this record. I want to say, with the kind of maybe not as poppy as sounds, but great band. Don't know anything about them. They probably won't come to Japan anytime soon.
They were actually supposed. I don't know if they actually wound up playing here, but I saw a flyer with them on it for a show here in Portland like a week or 2 ago, and then it disappeared. And I don't know if they actually like did their tour or what happened, but I'm not sure.
Heard anything about them touring the States. That doesn't mean that it wasn't going to happen.
Great band, and I've done this before. Like Sorry State Records, like they do like the best reviews, and I was very tempting just to like lift Daniel's review of this record, but I'm not going to. If you want to check out Sorry State's review, look at Sorry State. I think it's got like it might have got a Pitchfork review as well, which is totally different to Daniel's review. Yeah. My last record also got my last pick also got a review on Pitchfork, and it's a lot of words in it.
Don't say anything meaningful.
Exactly.
I want to get a Pitchfork review. I love getting terrible reviews.
I kind of like scroll down and it's like, it's still going. It's still going. It's like a couple of more ads. Oh, yep, still going. And it's just like really not saying anything that makes any sense to me anyway. But bring back the old Maximum Rock and Roll 3-line reviews.
Yeah.
What I say.
They're still going.
I know.
Yeah, they still have really great reviews.
I know. It's been a resource.
And it sounds like a record. They have guitars. If you like this kind of thing, you'll be impressed.
Or just, I don't get it. This is over my head. I don't get it.
All right, whose turn is it?
Right.
It's Rachel's turn, right?
Oh, you just went. It's
I did. Yes, that Italian band. Yeah, a culture of
All right.
killing. Yeah.
So while we're talking about, well, I've been talking about hitting you over the head with politics. I have this. It's a folk record.
Oh.
It's Ewan McCall and Peggy Seeger. For 1973. It's called At the Present Moment. I don't know if you can see. It's got. I don't want to rip it off because it has a hype up sticker on it, but it's like some flowers over like a war-torn landscape. And it's definitely folk, like sound wise. You're not getting anything here. Like this is folk music. Some of it is like quite corny, but the thing about like so Peggy Seeger is Pete Seeger's half sister, and then Ewan McCall and her were married for a long time, and Ewan McCall was out of Manchester, UK, and was like a trad folk singer, super communist. He wrote the song "Dirty Old Town," is the song that most people would know by him. And his daughter, Kirsty McCall.
I was going to ask you, is any relation? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Not Peggy Seeger's daughter, but there's like a lot of kids from a lot of different partners. But yeah, he was like, they were both like, political folk singers, but like very like militant, like very stridently political, like very like more so like more radical than a lot of even like very communisty folk singers from like that time. And this record like it has a song that is like very lovely, that's based on like the correspondence between Angela Davis and George Jackson when George Jackson was in prison, and it's like very sweet and tender love song, but also like reminding each other that like, and we need to remember, we need to learn how to use guns, and like don't forget, like we need to like overthrow the injustice in the world. And then there's this song on it called "Brother Did You Weep," which is a it's like a cappella. It's just like them singing, and it is like it has the like intensity and like the lyrical content of like a discharge song, like just vocals. The vocals don't get there till the very end, but the lyrics, like I'm going to read the lyrics. It's like, so disk of sun in the belching smoke, blazing huts where the children choke, burning flesh and blackened blood, charred and blistered like smoldering wood. That's like the first lines of the song. Like it's like, it's like DB lyrics.
Yeah.
And it's about Vietnam. And it's like, yeah, like it just like it builds and builds and builds in like intensity and emotion until like the end. It's like excruciating. And it's just one of my favorite songs of all time. And there's definitely like there's stuff on here that's like goofy. There's also some really great, I mean, for the most part, it's lovely, pleasant music, and some of it has like you're like, whoa, what did they say? But that one song is like it's brutal, it's brutal a cappella folk music.
Is that a reissue? Can we get is that easy?
This is an original. It's extremely easy to find.
Oh wow! Okay.
You could get it for $5.
Wow.
Discogs right now, no problem.
Nice.
Yep,
this is original. Well, this says 1983 on it. It's from 1973, so maybe this is a reissue for 1983. I'm not sure.
There you go. Nice.
But someone wrote it by hand, so they could have been wrong.
All right, Aaron, what's your next pick?
So this is another UK band. This is Public Body. So it kind of is like, I don't know, like Brainiac or even early like Devo. It's like synthy art punk type stuff. Again, sort of dancey, a lot of fun. This is, I think, their first LP. They were on Six Tones. I'm not going to pronounce this correctly. Six Tones to Chair originally. This is on Fat Cat. But yeah, just like early Devo sounding, synthy, like arty punk type stuff. So a lot of fun.
There's a word for that kind of thing, and I'm not going to say what it is because it's been mentioned on the show.
This egg punk? Or...
Yes, thanks for saying it, so I didn't have to.
Yeah, this might be considered egg punk.
I appreciate that egg punk has taken off and chain punk has not, because I
it's
like
good
the
point.
I think egg punk is like a good term.
Yeah, so I've literally never had to use the term chain punk ever. It's like always egg punk.
Yeah.
It's just all the rest of it is chain punk.
Yes. All right.
You're not egg, you're chain.
All right. Erika, what's your next?
That sounds awesome, man.
Yes.
Yeah,
sorry.
Really sorry. Check it out.
Derailed by egg punk.
Okay, so this is a record that just got reissued, but this is not the reissue that I have. It's this band called The Threat, who are from Dublin. This record came out in 1980, and it was the only thing that they ever like officially released.
Wow.
Just got reissued by an Irish label. So the A side of it is almost more like Joy Division-ish, like very Factory Records, like stark, somber kind of thing, with male vocals. But then the B side is like the primo one. It's like super rhythmic. Like think like the connecting thread and everything that I've picked is like it's all super bass forward. That's what I gravitate to. And the B side of this record, which is it's called High Cost of Living, and like most of the song is instrumental except for like the words high cost of living, just like repeated over and over and over. Almost like death rock vibe, just like real intense and rhythmic and percussive. It's so good. They were apparently like contemporaries of U2 and like the Virgin Prunes, and like played shows with U2 and like obviously did not take off like they did. And yeah, this was like it's like it used to be a rare single to find, and so it's cool that it just got reissued. There was a comp of Irish like electronic and post-punk stuff a couple years back, and one of the songs from this was on that, and that was sort of how I found out about them. But very cool.
Yeah, I love that song. It was I think it's Paranoid Visions. Is that the band, the Irish punk band that did stuff with Steve Ignorant? They did a cover of that song.
Oh wow!
Oh really?
Yeah, that's the first. Like I first heard the Paranoid Visions version, and then like later heard the Threat. I'm very jealous of your Threat record.
Well, I was reading up on it, and I didn't realize. So, like, the bass player, who is also like the female vocalist, left the band and joined that band Progvac, which I had no idea. Like,
I do have that record.
That's like another great band, but I didn't know that there was a connection there because they weren't Irish. So, yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, that's a great song. That's it. Kind of in that like, I mean, you can kind of hear like Paranoid Visions are kind of anarcho punk, and you can hear how that has that through line to the anarcho punk like spare drum and bass like thing.
Yeah, definitely more of an anarcho vibe on the B side than the A side. I think
I don't know if I've heard the A.
A side's not as good, but the B side is killer.
Yeah.
Nice. I haven't heard either version. Why can we hear like the Paranoid Visions like version as well? Is that available to hear? Like,
I don't know where I have heard. I don't know.
Did they just do it live or something?
You can find it on YouTube.
Okay, all right. There you go. That's good enough.
I think they did record it. Like I think they did release it on something, but I can't remember what it was.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, last round. So last week I showed an Australian band on Goner Records called Coffin, who are kind of blown up a little bit. I'm a big fan of that band. I actually have Bill to thank me for going down this particular rabbit hole, because he talked about this band that this guy does. This guy is very prolific, but somehow like all of his records are really good. It's quite amazing. He's in a whole bunch of bands, and I don't know how many of them are actual like solo projects. This one is like definitely a solo project. So Bill talked about the Aus Mutants on him when he was in, which led me down the rabbit hole of that guy, and that guy is what's his name?
Jake Robertson.
That's it. See, I'm looking at my notes now. Jake Robertson. Yes, Jake Robertson and his solo thing, Alien Nose Job, right? And he has like what, 7 or 8 or 6 records out already. It's in like 4 years or something like that. It's crazy.
They're like all completely different too.
Yeah,
I was going to get to that because I haven't heard all of them, so I'm kind of intrigued. Like, what do they all sound like, right? So I got the new one, and I love the title. The title.
Oh, yes.
The derivative sounds of, or a dog always returns to its vomit. I think he's having kind of a bit of a dig of like garage punk, like cliches and stuff with this record. I think.
Yeah, I think it's like he's come back to like where he started with like Frowning Cloud and whatever. Like I think some of the songs on it are Frowning Cloud songs. Is that what it's band's called?
I'm not sure. I'm not, like I said, I've only got like one more of his records, one of the earlier ones, which is like just from like 4 years ago. But like, yeah, that's funny. There's the barcode at the bottom, and it says this barcode will brainwash you into liking mid 1980s garage revival. It's hilarious. But the funny thing is, it's like he's so prolific, puts out so many records, but like the quality is like amazing. He must edit a lot of stuff. I'm sure he has like hundreds of other songs that he doesn't put out. But this is like a real like kind of, it's like a 60s kind of garage pop record, but as done by a kind of young Australian guy in Melbourne in like 2023. So it's has a bit more bite to it. But every song is a hit. You know, it's like a catchy song after another catchy song. It's pretty incredible, really.
It's wild. Like he's got like hardcore records.
Yeah.
There's like a kind of new wave synth pop record, that like hard rock, and they're all just like, he does all those styles like excellently, you know, like super like exemplary job. It's
pretty amazing. And there's that band Leather Towel, which I also showed on this show. That record's amazing too, and he's a part of that band too. But
But I think the dog in this case is him coming back to, because that's kind of where he's.
There you go. There you go.
Punk stuff.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Yeah. But yeah, it does sound like a kind of, you know, this could be like on like an old Back to the Grave, like, you know, some of these songs could be like that. But so well done, and like such a good song. Yeah, that's my last pick.
Yeah, he played here recently. I wasn't able to go for some reason, but it was like on a Monday night.
Oh yeah,
8 bands, like almost all of whom were touring bands.
Oh wow.
And like didn't seem to have anything to do with each other, like sound wise. Like it was like someone was just like, all these bands need a show. We'll put them all on one show together.
They combined like 3 shows so they wouldn't compete with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I kind of wish I went, but also it was like a Monday night, and it, like I don't think like anybody got to play very long, and but still, I would love to have a chance to see.
Does he play live with musicians when he plays live? They play live too.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah.
I mean, he couldn't play everything.
You never know these days with like the technology the kids have these days.
That's true.
Like, yes, yes. All right, that's my last pick. Great record. So many good records this year. Almost too many, I want to say. All right. Rachel, what's your last pick?
Okay, so nobody showed this record, so I don't have to do my backup record.
There you go.
My backup record. Have you ever seen this? You might recognize this, Mike, but no.
It looks familiar. Show it again.
Oh wait, I was holding it sideways.
Oh, that's The Addiction.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the Fuhima no Gomi, but I'm not showing it. I'm showing a different thing.
Oh, okay. Nice.
That's my best.
This is not the record I'm going to show. I do that every week.
But so this record is a reissue. It came out on Halloween. And it's a band from LA that was like, when they started out, they're all synths. And it's Nervous Gender, Music from Hell. So yeah, they're from LA and they were freaks, like absolute total fucking weirdos. This is like fucked up, degenerate, like super queer in like the transgressive old school way. It's so good. So this record came out, actually I don't know when this record came out, 1979 maybe. It was yes, I wrote down all the names of the band members and stuff. Oh wait, no, I have to look in the booklet. So yeah, like Gerardo Velasquez was kind of like was the singer. Frank with the PH, was in the band like very early on. A million people were in the band like over the years. Like Don Bolles was in the band. Dinah Cancer sang with them a bit. Alice Bagg like co-wrote a song that was later sung by who was it? Patrice Repose. They had a drummer who was 8 for a while. And this is like their LP. So their LP was like one side of these like synth, but like harsh, aggressive synth. The closest comparison you could probably make is like the Screamers. Like if the Screamers had actually kind of decently recorded themselves. They played a lot in like the industrial scene, even though they really like they were punk as fuck. But they fit in that, like they would play with like Unsters and Neubauten and bands like that, Psychic TP. And yeah, this came out on Dark Entries, and it's their LP. And then it's like a disc of there's a Live at Target. They're on the Live at Target compilation. And like some other live radio station stuff, some other demos and stuff. And yeah, it's just really, really good. Like fucked up, like extremely like offensive, like boundary crossing lyrics. They do a Carly Simon cover, the Cher cover, Lou Reed cover. Like all fairly, the Cher cover is pretty recognizable, although they changed the lyrics. But the Carly Simon cover, I don't think you would realize. Like, but yeah, it's great. Like kind of like a classic, like really different from everything that was going on in punk, and kind of like I wouldn't even say ahead of its time, because it's not like people started doing this after either. It's just like its own like time, like of its own like individual to themselves time. And I actually, when I was looking into this, I realized like Edward Stapleton is still doing Nervous Gender. Like it's called Nervous Gender Redux or something like that, and it's okay.
There's some real ugly flyers of recent shows they've played.
Oh, really? I can imagine. The graphic design on this is fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
It's like, and it's a really nice, like,
looks cool.
It's a really nice reissue. It's got like this nice like booklet with lyrics to most of the song. Oh, wow. And this crazy giant insert with like, yeah, this is I think one of the first. Paul Rossler was in the band too. It's one of the first. I don't know what lineup of the band this is actually, but yeah, it's really, really great. I was like, I mentioned before we started that I've been on kind of like a record diet. I haven't been able to buy that much, but when I saw this announced, I was like, well, I have to get that, like, because I've been wanting to get this LP forever, and yeah, it's really, really worth it. From
LA, right? LA,
yeah.
I feel like LA had a lot of like fucked up stuff like back in the 70s, and like I just got that UXA, which isn't that fucked up. The UXA reissue, which isn't that fucked up, but it's definitely like, it's not like straightforward like punk. You know, there's definitely other stuff going on in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that UXA record, but yeah, I would not call it fucked up. Like it's pretty. It's like pretty much just like catchy. Punk. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like it has. It's
definitely
not
something different about LA, like back in the 70s. So, yeah.
For like art school scene, like
right.
Yeah.
I think like Dark Entries is definitely another label that kind of appears a lot on like playlists and stuff.
Yeah, Dark Entries does a lot of, and they have a pretty wide range of things that they reissue. Like there's lots of they've been doing like Patrick Cowley's archives for a long time now, and they just put out like a Sylvester like gospel album.
Oh, wow.
Or like sort of doing like standards. Like I think it was the first things that he like professionally recorded. But yeah, then they'll also put out like weird old post-punk and like weird new post-punk, and put out like a Blues Lawyer record. But yeah, it's really cool label.
All right, Aaron, what's your last pick?
My last pick is Disintegration from Cleveland. And so this is Haley from Pleasure Leftists. It's also somebody from, well, Profligate is one guy, but it's like electronic music. And then the other guy is from Cloud Nothings. It's really cool. It's post-punk, it's synthy. Live, they do some like sampling. So they opened up for Nuevo Testamento when they came through town here in Pittsburgh. They're just phenomenal. And like, I think they don't sound like anything else really, especially like live. Like I said, they have like some samples and things. And so, yeah, it's like post-punk, but like if you love Pleasure Leftists, like Haley's voice is incredible. Yeah, I can't recommend it enough, and I can't wait for them to like release some more stuff. But also love them because they're from Cleveland, so they're real close. So I'll probably get to see them a whole bunch. They also opened for Molly Nielsen when I saw Molly Nielsen a little while back. But yeah, just really great band. And this was originally a tape. It's only 4 songs. It's on Feel It Records. But yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can't wait for them to release some more stuff. So
nice. I gotta dig into like, because I'm kind of new to Feel It Records, so I feel like there's probably like 150 records that I haven't even.
Just this week, he put out.
Just this week.
Yeah.
Really, it was because that Sweeping Promises record, I think.
Yeah, it's so
like
good. Yeah.
Gateway. That someone showed that record, but I just got it myself like last week. Side 2, not to go off track, but that Sweeping Promises record is incredible.
Yeah, that record
really kind of builds and builds. The atmosphere kind of builds, and then side 2 is just incredible. Sorry, went off track. But
no, you're fine.
I'm really excited.
Everybody loves that Sweeping Promises too. Like
yes.
Everybody. Like, doesn't matter. Like indie rock people and like NPR, whatever, adult contemporary people and punks and everybody. Egg punks.
Everybody, even chain punks. Like
chain punks.
Yeah, we played with them in September, and it was such a weird show because I didn't recognize like hardly anybody there. It was a lot of people that I think don't go to punk shows, and it's kind of cool that they've like crossed over to that scene.
Yep.
Bringing in some normies.
Are they kind of getting quite like big now?
They're pretty big. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's hard to tell from being over here, you know.
But I mean, they're such nice people. Like if anybody's gonna blow up, I'm glad it's them because like they're a great band and they're like not shitty people. So that's my aside.
I just should have showed the Sweeping Promises record. Right? It's like
we're just gonna talk about it.
All right, Erika, what's your last record?
So this is a record that will not appeal to normies at all. It's this band who are from Athens, Georgia in the early 80s, and they're called Limbo District. And this just came out. They never actually released anything when they were an active band, but I was familiar with them because their name gets dropped a lot in the context of the early Athens scene that was centered around like the B-52s and Pylon. And that's music that I love a lot. And they were always like this mysterious figure in these stories of Athens punk. And there was no recorded documentation of them except for they did the soundtrack to this short film that someone in Athens had made that was like 12 minutes long. And that was the only way you could hear them. So they were like this enigma for years and years and years. But Chumbawamba just put out this 7-inch and it has 3 songs that they recorded in 81, and it's like total plucked up like art school noise. It reminds like the closest thing I could compare it to is a lot of the stuff that was coming out of like the New York no wave scene. Like I could hear like some Mars or Teenage Jesus vibes to it. Like very stripped down, like just like really simple drum beats, like haunted house organ, and then like agitated nerd vocals, just like really hostile but nerdy. And I feel like it would like it's like very polarizing. I feel like you're either going to be completely on board with it or you're going to think it's total shit. But I love it. Yeah, it's just really creepy and weird and fucked up.
Haunted House Keyboards is a great way to, I can totally guess what that would sound like.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds like a band that formed for like an art installation. Like if you went to like an art installation in the early 80s, this is the band that would be playing like over in the corner, just like painting and like definitely art school vibe. So yeah.
Nice.
Yes, I have something from that pulled from my radio show, but I didn't know anything about it beforehand. Chumbawamba is a label that puts out something I'm interested in like once every 18 months, I would say.
Yeah.
And they put out something more often than that.
When I just ordered, because I love the Athens scene so much, I literally just ordered it while you were talking.
Oh, really? Yes. Wonder what you were doing.
I need a
sorry.
You were very subtle about it. But anybody have any bonus picks that they didn't get to show or anything? Like we got a bit of time.
Yeah, I've got some.
I've been recording the baby in the background of.
You're gonna make an acetate out of it.
Yeah.
I don't have anything.
I can talk about my extra one then.
Yeah. Go ahead. If anyone's got any bonus. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So this is my extra that I pulled in case I needed it. This is the Addiction.
Yep.
They are were a Japanese punk band, and they started out. They were around in like the early 2000s. And they started out doing this like flawlessly ridiculous like UK 82. Like they put out this record called like Punk Alien Razor, and it literally has like punk and like a UFO and then like a little razor blade that says punk on it on the cover. And they did, it was great, like really, really catchy, like the punky punk songs. But then they came out with this, which is called Fohingen no Gomi, which means like human trash, something like human trash.
Yeah. They kind of got into the Stalin a bit at some point.
Yeah, they sound like Mushi era Stalin, like when the Stalin got weirder. and yeah, like I don't know, I'm so bad at describing music, but it's like it's like a really slow, like plodding, just like weird
Dirgy.
song.
Yeah, it's like one of those
yeah,
long Stalin songs, right? That,
yeah.
mushy or...
And then there's a song Electric TVO, which is a lot more like rockin'. But yeah, it definitely has that like slightly later period when the Stalin started getting more experimental sound to it. And yeah, again, they also do it. They still have safety pins on there into it though. But they actually, I'm gonna go grab because like the Punk Alien Razor is like the most hilarious record.
I have
I've
it
ever
too,
seen.
just down there, but you might be nearer.
Okay. I gotta walk.
Let's have a race, see who can get there first.
My dog is in the way.
There we go. That's it. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, it says punk rock.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, this Razor. Here's the Razor.
Yes.
I'm
sorry.
But yeah, I really love this band. I don't feel like I ever see anybody talking about them, but I love them very much.
They changed their name again after that to like AD. We were talking about this before. ADIXION, and they went even weirder than that.
Really?
Yes. Ooh. Yeah. I've seen them because they're from Osaka, so I've seen all of the different lineups and changes of that band over the years. And now they're called. I'm not sure. I think I want to say yes. I'm going to say yes, and people can let us know in the comments if Addiction, spelt differently again, have released anything. But
Addiction,
yes. But they're called Centipede now. At least the vocalist is in that band, and maybe one other member, and they are kind of along the more like Stalin-y side of things. They're pretty active. They might put out a record too. I'm not sure, but yeah. There we go. Cool. Local band to where I am. So that's it. Anybody got any?
Yeah, I'll do my extra.
Go on then. Let's have it.
So I ended up going with all stuff from this year, but I DJ'd last night. That's like my Thanksgiving tradition. I always DJ. This is something I played, so this is like my backup, my like one non-new thing. The Dutch band called Wandas.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Early 80s, I want to say like 82, 83. And like there's songs on it that are a little bit more like straightforward punky, but then there's lots of songs that are like that like ramshackle kind of like Kleenex Lilliput vibe. Those are the ones that I really like. Yeah, they were like a 6-piece, all female, definitely like vibing with a lot of the Dutch stuff that was going on, but also I'd say like the Swiss punk scene of the early 80s. And yeah, it's like not the easiest record to find, but it's like also not expensive. So if you can find it, if you have a Dutch friend, highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where like the record's not that expensive, but the postage.
Yeah.
It
was something that I was like on the hunt for a really long time.
Well, you can always mail things to my brother in England, by the way.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah.
All right. That was a great show because there was like so much stuff I'd never heard of or heard of before, which is it's great, you know, to discover new things. So I'm going to be busy over the next week or months checking out all this new stuff. It's great. So thanks for the recommendations. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you've got like 200 Feel It releases that you need to
feel it. I feel like I'm gonna be giving a lot of money to Feel It records.
While we're talking about Kleenex Lilliput, Ramshackle, whatever, I have this literally right next to me. I was sharing this before. Kleenex Lilliput book put out by Thrilling Living.
It's so good.
Unbelievable. It's Marlena Martyr, the guitarist's diary. There's a graphic in here. I'm not gonna be able to find it where they were on tour with the Raincoats.
Oh wow!
And they like crossed that. They took the like I guess the NME or whatever the top 400 was for the, and Cross wrote rubbish, 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 Kleenex, rubbish, 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 raincoats. But yeah, this is like, it's the story of Lilliput told like in contemporary time, with tons and tons of like photos, articles from the time, translated for the very first time, since it was published in 1986, with like all new layout and a bunch of extra stuff. So this is so awesome. It's like jump on the chance to get this. Do you have any interest in like Swiss post-punk from 1981? That's all.
The baby agrees. The baby agrees.
Yeah.
Or bought it new, he's saying. Bought it new. All right, let me just announce next week's show. Let me just quickly announce next week's show. There is a show next week. Yeah, there is. Friday, December 1st. Pat from Destruct and Matt and Eric from Public Acid. Hardcore punk lineup next week. There you go. 10 p.m. Yeah, 10 p.m. Eastern time. So, see everyone then. Thanks for coming on. Great episode. I've learned a lot. Learned a lot. I feel I'm going to be a little bit... no Christmas presents for anyone this year. Yeah, only for me. Yes. All right. Until next time. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Stay healthy and stay clean.